Hello everyone, welcome back to Frag Chat with me, Smelly, and her,
Smurfy!
So, here we are again talking about fragrance matters, and today we're going to do two big subjects really. This one coming later is going to be the perfumes of Areej le Dore, a really interesting niche house. But before we get stuck into our impressions on the samples that we've got from them, we thought we'd talk about an ever popular subject in the fragrance community, compliments. So, forgive the, desperate attempt to get views, but, it is a fun subject sometimes. And perfectly legitimate to talk about compliments. I don't quite agree. Jeremy just said in his most recent video that most people do everything to get approval and compliments, and that he kind of implied that. And the only reason people wore fragrances, he pretty much said, was to get compliments. But we don't really think that, do we?
No, I think if you're a true fragrance aficionado, then you wear fragrances because you like them and you're interested in how they develop on your skin and how they smell to you. And it's a bonus if other people like them. That's what I think.
Exactly. But having said that, you've said it. We like to get them, of course. Nobody doesn't. So we just thought it might be fun to talk about what we think are our most complimented ones, which for most of them just means we've had one big compliment because we wear so many different ones. It would be hard to get 10 compliments on one because there aren't that many that we wear 10 times a year.
I've got one that has received multiple compliments.
Well, shall we start with that then?
Yeah.
Because it's unisex too.
Yes.
So everyone's going to be interested in this.
Actually, most of these are unisex, my selections. One comes off a bit feminine. So this is Eccentric Molecules, Molecule 1.
And that is the one that is just ISO E Super.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, it's just ISO E Super, and it smells like concrete dust and maybe the rain after a storm. That kind of smell, mineral-like. But I've received absolutely tons of compliments. I've had people that have got me back on the phone after they smelt it on me, asking me to tell them what it is so they can order it. And they've ordered it online whilst I'm on the phone. Amazing.
So Molecule 01, it definitely does. When you've worn it with me, I notice it does.
It's really strong
conscious
as well.
Of it, yeah.
Some people say they don't smell it, but I smell it.
Okay, so Molecule 01, obviously a good one for men and women. Some people layer it with other things, but just on its own, it will get you noticed, and people are going to like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one that I got a big compliment on was Lador pour Homme, the Lion's Head edition. There's another one with a horse. Don't get that if you're looking to smell like this one. And I got a compliment. Yeah, it was actually in a charity shop, and the lady said, "Oh, I've just walked over here again because your aftershave, just to walk past you because your aftershave smells so nice." So this is Lador pour Homme, lovely kind of citrus and herbal notes, a bit of vanilla. Many people say similar to Creed's Bois de Portugal, but a real fraction of the cost. Lovely bottle, low price, and it did get me a totally unsolicited compliment from a stranger.
In a charity shop.
There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, back to you.
Okay, so next one is Tom Ford's Venetian Bergamot. It doesn't seem to get much love from the YouTubers.
No.
But I really like it. It's very fresh, and I've worn it to work before. It was a quiet day. I had to go and work at the weekend, and a girl that I was working in the vicinity of immediately said, "Wow, you smell really nice, really fresh." And that was that.
Lovely citrus and florals.
Yeah.
Would that be a good description?
Yeah, it's not just about bergamot. There's definitely some really nice florals going on in there. A lot of depth, and it lasts really, really well on my skin.
Many people think it would be a bit feminine leaning, but we would call it unisex for sure.
You'd wear that, wouldn't you?
No problem.
I think you have worn
I
it.
have indeed done so, yes. Okay, another one, I got a good unsolicited compliment from the lady in Greggs, the bakers here in the UK, as I was buying a coffee and a sandwich, was Ragbar for Man, another cheapie, and it's a copy of Green Irish Tweed by Creed. So lots of dihydromercenol and a kind of violet leaf sandalwood, fresh, green, crisp, and a really cheap copy of Green Irish Tweed got me an unsolicited from the lady in Greggs, who I got to know after that about fragrances, but at that point she had no idea I was into them, so it was genuinely...
And that's a good thing about compliments and fragrances, is it does start a conversation, and you do get chatting to people, because most people do get interested in smells, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely, it can be a great little icebreaker.
Can I show everyone what my cat's doing?
Yeah.
Do you mind?
Okay.
Look, this is what she does. Can we see her? There she is.
Yep.
When she wants to get out the door, she jumps up where all the perfumes are.
Shall I show you?
Yeah, do you want to let her out and then I'll turn it back? Oh, yeah.
Just make sure my underpants off.
Pull your trousers up.
Ready?
And then she'll sit and wait for a little bit. Go on, sweetie.
Thank you.
There she goes.
Little diversion for you. Okay, back to the topic
to
in
the
hand.
task in
so
hand.
what's your next one?
My next one is Byron perfumes, Mulla Mulla. And this is another one where I got complimented at work, but I got complimented on a busier day when everyone was at work. So my boss, my friend Claire who sits next to her, and a couple of the girls that we sit opposite, all of them, when I walked in, said, wow, that smells really nice. And I ended up making a decant for my boss when I changed jobs because she loved it so much. And I remember walking around the hallway and I caught a whiff of it, and I thought, oh, Linda must be wearing it and she must be in the building because it really leaves quite a good trail. And then I went and found Linda, she was wearing it. So that was really well loved.
Right, and that's kind of fruity, spicy...
Fruity, vanilla-y. I don't know if there's oud. It's got kind of a depth that could be oud-like or patchouli-like. It's got a depth to it, but it's definitely fruity at the same time.
Lovely stuff, actually, Mulla Mulla. Okay, so moving on. Next up for me, Fleur de Mal. Unfortunate because it's discontinued and hard to find. This was in an antique shop. I was just in this antique shop. I was only browsing, didn't buy anything. And the man said, I like your aftershave. And it was only on a jumper, and I hadn't even applied it that day. But it was on my jumper from the day before, and I wasn't actually wearing another fragrance. So it must have been this. It's really strong, lovely florals, a little bit of neroli, orange blossom, beautiful scent, great performance. If you can track down a bottle.
It's a bit animalic though as well, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit of that in there as well.
Almost like there's something like castoreum or something.
It has a little bit of something funky in there.
Just a touch.
So Fleur de Mal from Jean-Paul Gaultier definitely projects well. Over to you.
Okay, so this is Joss Naxos, 1861 Naxos. Yeah.
Yep.
And this one, on a night out, I was told I smell exquisite. And to be fair, I think it does smell exquisite.
It's lovely, yeah.
It's almost minty, tobacco, vanillic.
Tobacco, cinnamon, honey,
floral.
touch of citrus, beautiful stuff.
It's really, really good. It's quite a linear fragrance. It tends to stay as it is on your skin. So I sometimes get a bit bored of it because it's very, very strong and it lasts for a long time. But it definitely is a crowd pleaser.
Absolutely. Linking into that then, and this is Dua fragrances. I do get, when I've got compliments, quite often I've gotten some for Dua fragrances stuff because it does seem that they are really strong. And this is Fortune. That's their version of Naxos, their inspired expression or clone of Naxos. And I got a compliment on that one from the people at work when I was teaching in a guitar shop. They said, oh wow, what's that one today? That's really good. So they really liked that one. And another Dua one that got me a compliment from the guy in a supermarket when I was paying for something. It was Supernova, which is the Dua version of Roger Dove's Elysium, and it's really, really fresh and a bright kind of alternative to Aventus by Creed and stuff like that. And it did get me, both those got me unsolicited compliments. Back to you.
Back to me.
Nearly
This
done
is
with
my
this
last one. And this one does come off very feminine, so it might not suit the fellas, but this is called Bacio di Velluto, which means velvet kiss in Italian. The company's called Brigantia, and you can see how much I've used of the bottle because I really love it. And this one I wore on a night out, and my friend, when I went to meet her, she said, wow, your perfume's gorgeous. She really loved it, and she kept bringing it up. It wasn't just a one-off compliment. She kept mentioning it. And it's basically white floral, sandalwood, ambergris. I can't remember what else, but it's really, it's quite special, I think, but quite feminine.
Bacio di Velluto. Okay, last one for me, but I'm going to do a double, and these both got me compliments. Again, I seem to get them in shops a lot. I guess it's when you speak to a stranger who might smell you kind of thing, and I don't have much of a social life other than that. So this is where I've got compliments. Old school masculine ones, both vintage formulas, are Armani Eau Pour Homme and YSL Pour Homme, both really nice citrus aromatic fragrances with classic classic citrusy notes and some herbs and kind of a masculine woody dry down. Both those got me unsolicited compliments in shops, actually.
We love a masculine woody, don't we?
Well, yes, exactly. So those were some of our ones that have got us compliments in the last year. Moving on then, please let us know down in the comments below what scents get you compliments, what you think about the whole issue of compliments, do they matter, etc. Okay, I'm going to let the cat in, but you're now going to introduce the next item.
Okay, so we are now going to be discussing the fragrances by Areej le Dore. So they sent down their latest, well, it's not that latest now, is it? But
Well, it was the 4 scents that they chose to send me,
Yeah.
which they're well-known ones if you're into this house.
There's some more now in the making, but I think these are still the latest ones that were produced.
Okay, so Areej le Dore, which is a niche house that's got some good attention. For a few other reviewers have mentioned them. We were very grateful to get the sample set, and they came like this in a nice little box. So these fragrances are going to run you, as they say in America, somewhere between. This is for a 30ml extract de parfum. Some of them are $190 and some of them are $220. So they're not cheap at all.
No.
But they are rather special.
And they're very, very strong and concentrated.
Yes, very high concentration of perfume oils, and we think some really rare ingredients.
Yes.
I think it's real deer musk, it's real oud. It's the things that a lot of other manufacturers use substitutes for.
In the rose one, there's way more rose than anyone's allowed to use. And rose is a very expensive ingredient.
Allegedly, we think maybe.
No, it's
Legally,
true.
we
It's
can't.
true legally.
Okay.
Legally, you can't put that concentration in Europe.
Okay.
So because they're produced outside of Europe, they can use higher concentrations, so they don't have to worry about our regulations and laws and stuff.
Okay, so let's get stuck into them. I'll do them in random order. So we've got a handy little card for each one, which describes the notes. So we'll take the one that's at the top of the pile, and that is this one, Mayik al Taif. And you can get an idea of what the bottle looks like there. As you smell, I'll just say the notes. Top notes are Royal Taif Rose and Indian Rose. In the mid, Indian Oud, Saffron, Deer Musk Absolute. And in the base, Mysore Sandalwood, Amber Resin and Siam Benzoin.
There you go.
This could be our favourite, isn't it?
This is definitely my favourite.
So, a really strong, stunning rose.
A really
But-
deep and rich rose. But you can smell what I'm guessing is the deer musk and the oud. You can smell this sort of dirty animalic thing. It just gives it depth. And it doesn't put me off, which sometimes those kind of notes do, but here it works for my taste and yours, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely very rich, very pungent, very exotic, but it doesn't smell quite like that typical oud note that you get in many designer and kind of standard department store niche as well fragrances. So that's not overwhelming. But it's really complex and difficult to pin down everything that you're smelling there, but really, really beautiful.
You can totally understand that there's resins in there kind of giving it a bit of a stickiness. And it's like incensey vibe.
Yeah, and the stunning star of the show may be the lovely rose.
100%.
Which
I think you used different roses, so it's not just one type of rose.
they've listed 2 types, Indian and Royal Taif, and if you a rose fragrance lover, fantastic, but it's not your standard rose oud
This is not
stereotype.
a rose oud. When I say rose oud, I'm generally thinking negatively.
Yeah.
But this is nothing like anything I've ever smelled.
Yeah.
Really good.
And from what we can tell so far, really, really strong performance beast mode. So that's a really, really good fragrance, and one of the few that recently has made us really go wow, because we've tried so many things in our hobby, but that is a real wow factor.
We can get a bit jaded sometimes.
You can. It can be hard to be excited about a new fragrance, but these really are exciting. So moving on, next we're going to do Baikal Greece. Excuse me with the pronunciation, but I'm doing my best. And this one, we can see a little picture of the bottle sort of there. Okay, so the notes in this one, it says it's a rich poetic tribute to Baikal, Russian fir balsam, violet leaf grey, Indian ambergris in the top. In the mid, old Mysore sandalwood, resinoid extracted by Russian Adam, it says, and vanilla and grey Indian ambergris again in the mid. And in the base we have tonka bean, fossil amber, cypress, cedarwood, oak moss and naga motha.
It's weird because it does smell grey.
Ah.
And I think what I mean by that is it smells like grey things like concrete and minerals and dust and earthiness. But there is a sweetness.
Yeah, there's an earthy mineral kind of quality about it. There's also, well, according to the notes, I think fossil amber suggested they have actually extracted the amber note, not a synthetic representation of amber or using other things to make the amber accord. So that's interesting. Really hard to describe that one, isn't it? There's a sort of earthy, concrete mineral accord.
Concrete, mineral, musky, sort of powdery.
Quite dry, not sweet so much.
A touch of sweetness, but definitely dry.
Yeah. Very pungent again, and probably not our favourite.
No,
Wow. Is that
this
fair
one,
to say?
when I've tried it on skin, when it gets further into the dry down, there is something, and I think it might be the natural ambergris that I just don't get on with. At the moment, it smells quite nice, but when it changes on my skin, I think there's an animalic note that sort of makes me feel a slightly bit queasy.
Yep. Okay.
But I know this is very well loved. Wafts from the Loft really appreciate this one.
Ah, okay.
I think one of them bought a bottle actually.
Ah, okay.
Might have been Daniel.
All right, Baikal grease. Interesting stuff indeed. Moving on, then we've got
Koh-i-Noor,
which is this was designed in conjunction with Nikhil, also known as the perfume guru, who has a great fragrance channel, knows a lot about particularly the Middle Eastern style of fragrances, and they say a huge animalic floral oriental is how they describe it. Top notes: wild Siberian deer musk, Indonesian lemon, distilled by Russian Adam again, ylang in the mid, ylang ylang, gardenia, jasmine, champaka, patchouli, tonka bean, 30-year-old Indian oud, and Mysore sandalwood, and in the base benzoin, crude amber, tuberose attar, and jasmine sambac absolute. Really musky and potent. You're not keen on this one, are you?
Do you know what? There's aspects of it I love. The florals are stunning, but I can smell meat.
Meat?
Yeah, I feel like I can smell barbecued meat in there.
That's weird.
And that doesn't work for me.
Right. I definitely kind of think this is, if you like things like Kouros by Yves Saint Laurent and you like something really pungent and musky and a bit animalic, this doesn't smell particularly like Kouros, but it's if you like that kind of sweaty, the kind of sexual undertones to the smell, maybe, or sensual, if we're being a bit more polite, you could really enjoy this.
Yeah,
it's really pungent.
if you're a lover of animalics, then it's one to try. And the florals are stunning. I can smell the ylang ylang, I can smell the jasmine, really gorgeous.
Sandalwood, do you get a sandalwood note?
I'm not sure, because the meaty smell. When I don't like something in a fragrance, and I'm sure most people are the same, I can't help but notice that more than anything else.
Okay.
So it's hard for me to smell this without really focusing on that meaty smell.
Okay, so
that's just my interpretation of it. Do you get anything slightly meaty or not?
No, I wouldn't have thought of meat myself. No, I do definitely get that it's quite funky and a bit animalic, but in a kind of a good way. But how it would go down if you wore it on... We haven't worn this one, I don't think either of us have. So we wouldn't know exactly how that's going to play out.
Try it out at the gym, I think.
Yeah, don't think so. Not a daily wearer for sort of when you want to be fresh and clean, but really, really powerful, interesting, and if you like your... Maybe a little bit more of an old school vibe.
It smells nothing like nothing else.
Yeah, actually. It kind of smells nothing like nothing else. But I find that really... quite pleasant to smell on a card.
Has it got Hyraceum in it?
No, that's not listed. That's from the Hyrax, the Hyrax cat, another famous kind of musky animalic note. But
I would have thought that was in there.
So that gives you an idea of the kind of smell that you're getting with that one. So really, really interesting for animalic fragrance lovers, worth checking out. And last but not least then, it's Oud Lak. Okay, so this one looks something like this. And a oud perfume featuring the finest aspects of authentic rare wild oud from Papua New Guinea. Top notes: coffee luwak, sinking Sumatra agarwood smoke infusion, that's oud agarwood, and in the middle you've got Maroki noir oud oil, spikenard, carrot seeds, nutmeg, and in the base Indian oud, Indonesian vetiver absolute, cedarwood, and Sumatran benzoin. The coffee thing's interesting, isn't it?
So
there's a story about that, isn't there?
I think it's a type of cat that gets fed coffee.
This is gross.
Coffee beans, and then it's actually the cat poop that they use to make the smell.
Yeah. So those coffee beans are highly prized by people.
So I think they're special coffee beans anyway, and then the cat has to eat them. And
for some reason, that actually turns out to be a good thing.
I don't even want to know who thought of that. Where did that come from?
And people drink that coffee, don't they?
Yeah, it's very expensive.
It's more expensive than average. Not like your Nescafe.
I get a very dry, earthy coffee deep,
You
dark smell. Yeah.
You do get a real
I
strong
definitely
coffee
get
note.
coffee,
It's very
yeah.
realistic. So if you're, yes, I guess this one therefore is a bit gourmandish in that sense.
Maybe.
But not. That's not really.
But I don't think
yeah.
I would wear this and someone would say, "Oh, you smell good enough to eat."
No.
Not really. It's still a bit weird.
Very complex. There are some things that not everyone's going to enjoy. It's not an obvious crowd pleaser. Again, we've got a lot of different ouds being mentioned there, but it doesn't smell of that standard oud thing that you may be used to in modern perfumery. So this kind of natural oud that they're using is a whole different ball game.
I definitely prefer natural oud
to what a lot of us are used to. Yeah.
This one's really interesting. It's very smoky as well, isn't it? It's almost like you set the coffee beans on fire and then you could smell the smoke.
Yeah.
Very, very dry.
I agree that it's smoky.
It makes me need to take a drink because it's that dry.
Yeah. It does smell a little bit Middle Eastern, reminds you of the desert in that arid kind of dry feeling. It might appeal to you in a weird way if you like things like Lador Desert Moroccan, but it doesn't really smell anything like that. The most
Not
obvious
much
thing...
sweetness to it at all.
No, that is a very arid, dry smell.
It's kind of a touch sweet, but the sweetness is almost like the sweetness of peaty earth rather than anything that would come from sugar or...
Maybe there's just a bit of sugar in that strange cat poop coffee thing, but yeah, definitely exotic smelling, and you definitely get the coffee note, very, very pungent, and this really complex kind of Middle Eastern feel. Definitely the oud is really important in these, but these guys really know their oud, and this is the serious, real stuff, which is quite an eye-opener for us, although we've smelt many oud fragrances. This seems a notch above.
I don't think we've smelt that many that are actually natural.
No.
As far as I'm aware.
No, I think that's the new thing here with these. So, a favourite for you?
Without a doubt, it's the rose one, Malik Al Taif. The sweetness of the rose is just beautiful. There's a freshness to it. It kind of sings off the paper. It's beautiful.
I agree. That's my favourite too.
Yeah.
Rose fragrance fans, check this out. It's stunning. Really, really interesting, unique smelling niche fragrances from this company, and one of the new fragrance houses that's really made us sit up and take notice.
Definitely.
Even if we wouldn't necessarily wear all of them.
No. I'd only wear one of them, I've got to be honest.
Really?
I would only wear that rose one. But I think that those people that are into their atars and their Middle Eastern and Arabic kind of perfumes, they've got to check this house out.
Agreed. So thank you very much, Areej le Dore. Let us know if you've tried anything from Areej le Dore down in the comments below. That's all we're going to say today, isn't it? So thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye. And whatever we're doing in life.
Let's project. See you. Bye.
Bye.